Number one, let's start with what happened yesterday, because she has gone viral, all right? She's gone viral over hot girls eat Arby's. Yeah, she was wearing this outfit, this arrangement into the Chicago Sky game. Of course, the Indiana Fever, I would like to say, beat the brakes off the Sky, but really it felt like they underachieved a good bit yesterday.
Sophie Cunningham wasn't on anyone's shortlist to become the WNBA's next viral sensation. Yet somehow, with nothing more than a t-shirt and perfect timing, she managed to flip the script on the entire league. The shirt read, "Hot girls eat Arby's." But the impact? It went far beyond a fast food joke. That simple phrase lit a fire across the internet, unraveling carefully curated narratives and forcing an uncomfortable question into the spotlight. Who actually gets celebrated in women's sports, and why? Suddenly, Sophie wasn't just part of the conversation. She was the conversation. Her outfit didn't just make headlines, it challenged the status quo. It exposed a raw, unfiltered kind of honesty that many fans didn't know they were craving, and many gatekeepers weren't ready to handle. Now, let's rewind to where it all started, the pre-game tunnel walk. This isn't just a hallway, it's become the fashion runway of modern sports, where athletes debut bold looks, flaunt sponsorship deals, and build their off-court brands. Each outfit is a calculated move, a message crafted for social media. Then came Sophie. No high-end couture, no flashy logos. Just a plain white tee with a chaotic, almost rebellious sense of humor. In a world of designer fits and polished PR, she chose authenticity, and it landed like a thunderclap.
Cunningham's t-shirt became a marketing phenomenon. Sophie Cunningham currently plays for the Indiana Fever and has now become one of the most recognizable WNBA players. And for Arby night, she pulled up wearing a shirt that said "Hot girls eat Arby's," and the internet lost it. But here's the real backstory. A few months earlier, Sophie posted a video rating Arby's. And that video was just her being authentic in herself. And that puppy went viral.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and give Arby's a solid 9 out of 10.
Then following this, the phrase "hot girls eat Arby's" started flying around. And it turns out that Arby's has been saying this since 2023.
In a world obsessed with polish and presentation, Sophie's t-shirt hit like a meat and cheese missile. Amid the carefully crafted images and high-fashion fits, her unfiltered message was refreshingly absurd and completely unignorable. The internet didn't just notice. It exploded. Within hours, the shirt was trending, stealing the spotlight from the actual game and turning a simple pre-game walk into the league's most talked-about moment. Suddenly, a billion-dollar sports machine was taking cues from a fast food punchline. The WNBA's slick marketing campaigns, social strategy, and media narratives, all of it got sidelined by one offbeat, wildly human moment. And that's exactly why it resonated. It felt unrehearsed, untouched by PR. It felt honest. But here's the twist, this wasn't just random internet lightning. What looked like a spontaneous fashion fluke was actually the culmination of something deeper. A slow build. A narrative bubbling beneath the surface, months in the making. The shirt was the spark, but the fire had been smoldering for a while, and now, it was finally catching flame.
Somebody that has gotten ridiculously popular this year with the Indiana Fever. I made a prediction that she was going to be the second most popular player on this team by the end of the year, and then of course there was the big incident during the Connecticut Sun game, and by the end of that game she was known as Caitlin Clark's enforcer, right? The one that's got her back. At times it feels like the only one that's got her back, if I'm being quiet.
To really understand why that t-shirt hit so hard, you've got to rewind back to a moment that flew under the radar. Long before her tunnel walk turned heads, Sophie posted a video. No flashy camera angles. No brand deal. No stylist on standby. Just her, parked in her car, casually reviewing an Arby's meal with the enthusiasm of someone who truly meant it. It wasn't polished, and that's exactly why it worked. Her commentary was offbeat, a little goofy, and completely genuine. There was no agenda, no performance. Just a real person sharing a real craving. And in an era where so much online content is manufactured to feel relatable, Sophie actually was. That small, unscripted clip, easily dismissed at the time, became the quiet foundation of her public persona. It told people who she was, without trying to sell them anything. No hashtags, no campaign. Just honesty in a drive-through parking lot. And that rare kind of sincerity? That's what made the t-shirt moment hit with such unexpected force. It wasn't just a look. It was the punchline to a setup no one realized they'd already seen.
Cunningham has broken the internet in multiple ways over the last day. All right, the other day before the Chicago Sky game, this Barbie, and let's be real, let's be honest. If you were going to cast somebody as Barbie, there's a good chance you'd take a long, hard look at Sophie.
So when Sophie finally showed up in that now iconic t-shirt, her followers didn't roll their eyes, they got it. To them, it wasn't some random viral grab or a hidden sponsorship play. It was the perfect punchline to a joke they'd been laughing at with her for months. An inside reference only her real fans understood. And more importantly, it felt earned. She wasn't pretending to be relatable, she already was. That shirt wasn't just a statement. It was a reminder of who she'd been all along. The laid-back, curly-haired athlete who wasn't afraid to geek out over a roast beef sandwich in her car. It wasn't branding, it was continuity. And in a league where identity is often carefully constructed behind the scenes, Sophie had already done the work of building hers in the open. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The Arby's energy was just one side of Sophie Cunningham. Online, she was goofy, warm, disarmingly real. But on the court, a storm was brewing. Because the version of her that fans were about to see wasn't there to crack jokes, it was there to compete, dominate, and disrupt. The humor had set the trap. The game was where she would spring it.
Talk about Arby's. She is now on the Arby's payroll. Decided that it was a match made in roast beef heaven. Hot girls eat Arby's. No knock on Arby's, Sophie, but if you give Arby's 9 out of 10, I'll take you to Racks. I'll buy you some Racks, and I think you will find that hot girls probably eat Racks. Arby's has a new spokeswoman, and it just so happens to be Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, that's right. Sophie Cunningham, who took to her social media to discuss how much she enjoyed a trip that she made to Arby's. And
while social media was busy turning her curly fry obsession into the internet's favorite inside joke, Sophie Cunningham was quietly building something much more serious on the hardwood. Beneath the viral fame, a transformation was taking shape, one forged in the intensity of real competition, not camera flashes. Then came the moment that changed everything. In a game that had already taken a physical turn, tensions hit a boiling point. Rising WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark absorbed a hard, borderline dangerous foul, the kind of hit that was starting to feel less like defense and more like a message. Players paused. Fans held their breath. And then, the camera found Sophie. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't gesturing for attention. She was locked in, focused, and furious. Without hesitation, she stepped up, confronting the aggressor, pushing back, and making it crystal clear, if you come for her teammates, you deal with her. In that moment, the public perception snapped into place. Sophie wasn't just the funny one anymore. She wasn't just the Arby's girl. She was the enforcer, a player who brought grit to match her charm, fire to balance her fun. That single act of raw, physical loyalty reshaped everything. It revealed a side of Sophie that the memes had missed, fiercely protective, unshakably bold, and ready to stand up when it mattered most. The internet had laughed with her, but now, it respected her.
700,000 followers overnight. I don't know if you guys knew, she had like 300 or something less than 48 hours ago. Insane. The enforcer has arrived. And she even posted like twice since then, bro. She's totally taken it to a whole new level. Like, Caitlin Clark has a new star. This is like a new star in the WNBA. People ain't gonna like it. People aren't gonna like it. Trace Leches, you know what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull, which, by the way, kind of was obsessed with her before she even came along.
It was the collision of two seemingly opposite forces that created the perfect viral storm. On one side, you had the goofy, unfiltered fast food-loving athlete who made fans laugh and feel like they actually knew her. On the other, a fierce, no-nonsense competitor who wasn't afraid to throw down to protect her team. That duality, relatable and ruthless, struck a nerve in all the right ways. One persona made her approachable. The other made her unignorable. The impact? Immediate and massive. Her social media presence exploded, leaping from around 300,000 followers to nearly 1 million in just a few days. People weren't just entertained, they were invested. At the Indiana Fever team store, demand for her jersey surged so fast it wiped out inventory. Fans weren't just watching her, they wanted to represent her. And then came the full circle moment. Arby stepped in. Not with a wink or a repost, but with a deal. A real partnership. The brand she casually championed became the brand that backed her. Not because it was calculated, but because it was authentic from the beginning. This wasn't your typical influencer play. It wasn't a marketing stunt engineered in a glass-walled office. What Sophie created, without even trying, was a brand born from realness, backed by heart, and delivered with undeniable edge. Something that no campaign budget or branding consultant could ever replicate.
What I like about Sophie is that she's tough. So when Caitlin Clark last week, or not last week, a couple days ago, when Caitlin Clark got destroyed, her girl Sophie came to her defense, and this was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history. Now, Sophie, who's my one of my favorites now, she's become one of my favorite WNBA players. I'm gonna watch her too, like I watch Caitlin. Look at what she did, and people may not say that this was in response or whatever the case may be, but I feel like Sophie is like, you want to play?
But as Sophie Cunningham's popularity erupted across social media and headlines, it began to cast a spotlight on a deeper, more uncomfortable question lurking beneath the surface of the WNBA. Why her? Why did this particular mix of goofy charm and raw intensity break through so loudly, especially among the massive wave of new fans arriving in the wake of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon? Her rapid rise didn't just spark excitement, it stirred a reckoning. For years, the WNBA has faced sharp criticism over one glaring issue: the league's ongoing failure to effectively market its most dominant and deserving stars, many of whom are black women. These are athletes who've redefined the sport, shattered records, and carried franchises. And yet, time and again, they've been overlooked by mainstream campaigns in favor of safer, more relatable storylines. The kind that fit neatly into a more palatable public mold. Sophie's viral breakout didn't cause this imbalance, but it did expose it, in full color and at full volume. While the league continued trying to engineer buzz through carefully crafted narratives and staged rivalries, the fans were making their preferences clear. They were showing up for what felt real. Her story hit because it wasn't trying to hit. There was no script. No media training behind a fast food review. Just authenticity, raw emotion, and an athlete being herself. And that unscripted truth landed harder than any sponsored content ever could. In the end, the public wasn't asking for perfection. They were asking for honesty. And they proved it with every follow, every jersey sale, every viral clip. The message was loud and clear: authenticity isn't a trend. It's the future.
To the arena yesterday, wearing that, there she is right there. Let's just bring this up. Over at Tater Report, there she is right there. Hot girls eat Arby's. I can only imagine, and I have no idea. I would assume this is some kind of sponsorship with Arby's, right? Right there. I don't know. The roast beef sandwich jokes just sort of write themselves at this point. And just like that, I want a cheddar melt.
Naturally, with any meteoric rise comes the inevitable pushback. Not long after Sophie Cunningham was embraced as the enforcer, the backlash arrived, fierce and fast. An online petition began circulating, launched by opposing fans, demanding something extreme: Sophie's removal from the WNBA. The reason? Her retaliatory foul in defense of a teammate. They called her behavior disgusting, branded her a threat to the game, accused her of playing dirty. But rather than causing damage, the outrage had the opposite effect. The petition didn't hurt her, it cemented her status. Instead of isolation, Sophie found a wave of support. Her fans saw the backlash not as legitimate concern, but as a calculated attack, a reaction not just to Sophie's actions, but to the growing influence of Caitlin Clark and the players who stood by her. The petition became a symbol, a line in the sand. And for Sophie's supporters, it was proof she was rattling the right cages. What was meant to cancel her ended up doing the exact opposite. It turned into a rallying cry. The controversy only deepened her legend, boosting her visibility and, ironically, likely moving even more of her already sold-out merch. In the eyes of her fans, she wasn't just a standout player anymore. She was a disruptor, a lightning rod, and the backlash only made her stronger.
Say that when you are good at basketball, you're pretty, and you got grit, those three things make you bad to the bone. And I think this is one of it's new trends that's going on in the WNBA, in my personal opinion, is that not only will you be good at basketball, but you also, some of these women don't look like women, right? They used to look like dudes. But now they look like beautiful women that are playing basketball. And one thing I like about Sophie is that she's tough.
Let's take a look, because Arby saw this and decided that it was a match made in roast beef heaven.
Like, not bad.
They weren't dissuaded, obviously, by the little shade that she threw at them there between enjoying her yummy sandwich, saying that she went away. She doesn't have it often for obvious reasons. Well, what are those obvious reasons, Sophie? Anyway, she is now on the Arby's page.
In the end, Sophie Cunningham's rise, from a fast food review in her car to one of the most talked about names in the WNBA, offers more than just a viral success story. It's a roadmap, a modern playbook for how to break through in today's hyper-connected, personality-driven sports world. Because today, talent alone isn't enough. What Sophie tapped into is a three-part formula: elite-level toughness on the court, an off-court presence that's raw, unscripted, and real, and the ability to fuse those two worlds at exactly the right moment. It's not about being polished or PR approved. It's about being human. She didn't rely on fake rivalries or pre-packaged content to earn her following. She didn't dance her way into fandom. Instead, she brought her full self, quirks, grit, loyalty, fries and all, and let the audience decide if they were in. And they were. Big time. What Sophie proved is that the most powerful brand in sports today isn't built in boardrooms or focus groups. It's not calculated. It's earned. Her story shows that when an athlete dares to be both tough and transparent, both unapologetically real and fiercely loyal, fans respond, not with likes, but with loyalty. She didn't just step into the spotlight. She redefined the terms of what that spotlight even means.
You can see right here, that's Sophie Cunningham. She is the teammate of the year. Or at least the Caitlin Clark she is. After Caitlin Clark was pushed to the ground and poked in the eye in the first half of a game against the Phoenix Mercury, she actually late in the game assaulted one of the Phoenix Mercury players in retaliation. And fans loved it. They ate it up. Because look at this. If you look closely, her following on TikTok went from over 300,000, which was great, to almost well over 800,000.
But let's be clear, this isn't just about likes and follows. This is about power. When Sophie's jersey sold out, it sent a message in the only language that truly matters in professional sports: money. She proved she could move product and generate revenue without the league's official marketing machine pushing her. Her influence wasn't just online chatter. It was a tangible economic force. This creates a new kind of power dynamic. Suddenly, the players who can generate their own financial gravity become invaluable. It draws a sharp contrast to the empty calories of social media fame, where high engagement doesn't always translate into ticket sales or merchandise flying off the shelves. Sophie didn't just get popular, she got profitable. And that kind of influence can't be ignored or controlled.
So Caitlin Clark's teammate Sophie Cunningham's jersey has officially sold out on the Fever website. And this comes the same week as the chippy foul that led to some ejections at the end of the game. It was a bit of a revenge foul taken up for Caitlin Clark after a hard foul on the other end. And then immediately a petition online from the Caitlin Clark haters to have Sophie Cunningham removed from the WNBA. They're trying to get folks to sign it. They said what she displayed tonight was disgusting. Yeah, it was a hard foul, but now it has the Caitlin Clark fans rallying around her, buying up her jerseys to the point they've officially sold out. Fortunately for this petition, I think they just turned Sophie Cunningham into a new WNBA A-list.
Beyond the money, her rise exposed a deep cultural crack in the league. Sophie mastered the art of the unbothered aesthetic. Her brand of fame feels effortless, almost like she isn't even trying. This stands in stark opposition to the try-hard culture of chasing clout that has defined so much of online sports discourse. While some players seem to be in a constant cycle of firing off passive-aggressive tweets, crafting performative rivalries, and posting highly produced content begging for attention, Sophie just exists. Her low-effort, high-impact style makes the constant clamor for validation from others look desperate by comparison. Fans are exhausted by the noise, the fake beefs, and the feeling that they're always being sold something. Sophie's unbothered vibe feels like a breath of fresh air, and it's making the clout chasers look completely out of touch.
Cam's jersey's gonna sell out tonight. The people have been waiting for this. If the refs are not gonna do their job, the players are gonna have to be the enforcers themselves. This game was chippy from the beginning, and the refs did not do their job.
This all leads to the most fascinating question. Was any of this really an accident? The official story is that she stumbled into virality, but the timing was too perfect, the execution too flawless. What if Sophie Cunningham is a far more brilliant media strategist than anyone gives her credit for? Think about it. She saw the new wave of fans coming in, understood their fatigue with scripted drama, and identified the exact lane that was wide open. The tough, funny, loyal teammate. The Arby's video, the t-shirt, the in-court protection. It all feels less like a series of lucky breaks and more like a calculated campaign of strategic authenticity. She isn't faking her personality. She's just a genius at deploying it for maximum impact. This reframes her not as a lucky participant, but as a master architect of her own success, playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. In the end, a story that started with a simple joke about roast beef revealed something deeply serious about the future of sports marketing. The WNBA is at a crossroads, flooded with more attention, money, and scrutiny than ever before. But as the league figures out its next move, it's becoming increasingly clear that the battle for its soul won't be won in a marketing meeting or a branding brainstorm. It will be won on the court and in the tunnels by players like Sophie Cunningham, who remind everyone that in a world full of performance, authenticity is the one thing you can't script, and it's the only thing that truly